Good morning, everybody. We are back in Cold Spring in the National Forest, and we're going to explore an area that we've never been before. The roads on the map look like they are in pretty good shape by the satellite image, and so we're hoping for easy bike riding and to be able to cover this whole area. It's really, really big. Camera that I like to put out, that's about off of the next Forest Service road down, and I had hunted that area. It was right next to a no-hunting area, so it was really good. I didn't get any pressure, and I got several different huge bucks. One was about 7-year-old at that time. There are some huge bucks in here, and I haven't explored the backside of the area where I believe they come from. We're gonna start being more aggressive in the way that we scout. We parked right here, and we've made it this far. I don't know what that is. A little kind of sketched in. You can see a cut in the timber right there. Looks like the road wise further down. It looks like they didn't make the lines for the overlay exactly where the roads are, but you can see that there's like a meadow area in there. I can't wait to see that. But this trail is pretty heavily used, and I can see indentions in the pine straw where there's going to be tracks in it. So this is beautyberry, and they eat the leaves on these. So I guess there's quite a bit of food I can see, and that'll be good early season stuff when they're still eating greens. So I'm going to mark this trail, and we'll come back to it later.
Oh, wow.
I bet there's fish in there, too.
That's what I was thinking. Pretty big water
It's
holes.
pretty substantial.
I'm fixing to look.
But you see those dotted lines right there. This is a perfect funnel from, you see all these areas where there's places where trees are cutting across their pasture. This'll make a travel corridor. Deer will use this road right here that we're on. Show that road.
Oh, this one, yeah.
See how thin it is through there. They can travel through here quietly, and they like that. There's not a lot of crunching leaves. It's mostly pine straw on the ground. So they're going to travel on this road right here, and they're going to hit the edge of that dairy farm. That's just a natural funnel. So this should be a high traffic area to find good signs. It's a heavily used trail. The grass won't even grow in that spot. And it drops down to just a single narrow trail. And you can tell that's deer using that. You see one coming right here to meet up with it too. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go out here and look for bedding. Okay. Show the main trail right there where we just came right off. See that? There's that main trail we came off of. And the trail goes to right here to this open area. And you can see little areas like this right here. Where they're laying down. There's that area over there where they're laying down. And the same up in there, there's a little place in the pine straw you can see it keeps going. So this trail doesn't go anywhere. It's a heavily used trail, but it doesn't go anywhere because it goes to here. And this is where they're laying down to bed, and that's why it doesn't go anywhere else. And they're, at their eyesight, it's just below where kind of where you can see a little bit of a browse on. When they're laying down, they can see down that trail, and they can see down to the main road through their little escape route right there. So they can watch this whole area. And it's thick right here. There's no trails through there, so they would lay with their back up against where the thick stuff is here. And the wind is blowing from the south right now. So when they lay down here, if anything did come down through the south to try to get them through that brush, they would smell them before they got here. But this way, they're laying here, they can see to the north, and they can smell to the south. And so they feel safe here. This is a safe spot to lay down in bed. So this trail goes this far, and that's it. It's like 20 yards off their main trail over there, and that's how far they made it before they decided to lay down. So they'll probably use this all summer. In early archery season, this would be a good area to look at too.
Oh yeah. Even really.
All these tracks are really fresh. That's a big hog right there. They're going after grubs in the root systems down here. And this drainage. This isn't that big creek from before. This is just a drainage that runs into it. You can see over there how nasty and sloppy that is. It's because they've wallowed in that to cool off. Straight down this thing.
Yeah,
It's rooted up. The whole drainage is rooted up from north to south.
There's a white oak tree.
There's a few white oaks here. So this will be a good spot to catch them stopping for acorns. There's a good oak tree right there. There's several oak trees right here in this spot. This will be good. And these pine trees are nice and straight to set up on. Grapevines. Muscadine.
Muscadine, yeah. And then you said there's beautyberry over there.
Beautyberry and muscadine. There's a huge area right here where they've rooted up this next drainage.
Yeah. Another tick.
See, it's all scratched up.
It's an old road.
That's old. That's a pretty good buck.
So last year's road.
Either last year or the year before. But that's decent. He worked that hard. So that'll be
That's right by the
a
creek.
rub, not to get the velvet off, but an aggressive rub, which would be during the rut.
Yeah. We found another road. We made it to a meadow area. Big, wide, open area. Be good for gun hunting. Yeah, archery too, but
You can see the end of it's been bitten off. There's just so much grassy area in here. We're trying to find the exact locations where they bed down. So after we find an area where we think that they're going to bed, the next thing that we'd look for to know if it's really used a lot would be next thing to find hair. So we're trying to find a bed that's used so much that we're finding hair in it. We haven't seen any of that yet. We see a few places like in here where the grass is bowled down. No hair, but that's the next step.
Where's he at? We almost ran into him.
Here we go.
I'm not sure if you can see this. It's kind of an old one, but here's a rub we found. There's another one further up, a smaller one.
Yeah. Even though it's not a fresh one, it at least tells us where they have preferred to be in the past. So if this area is useful to them, then we need to keep an eye on it, even if there's no fresh grubs.
One of them's right there. The other one's further up. Ooh, I can get through all these branches.
I see this one would be less aggressive. This would be to get his velvet off.
You can barely see it.
Yeah. He got his velvet.
There's a rub right there.
That's a tall deer too. You see how high it is?
Mm-hmm.
I think there used to be a house here. Because there's these things, and I don't recognize these as something naturally here. I don't know what that is.
I don't know if it's flowers or...
Some kind of fruit on it.
There's some over there too. They're kind of scattered in this one area.
Yeah.
It's hot. Okay. How much did we cover?
2.5 miles.
Okay.
So
2.5 miles on our bikes and just hiking in the woods and
2.5 miles in this kind of heat. Not too shabby.
yeah.
You can see we're drenched. 84 degrees with 80% humidity. So on our bike ride back, we saw a doe. It was probably only about 200 yards back down the road from the truck. It really wasn't near anything that looks significant on the map. So I'll have to go back there another day and see why she chose to cross there instead of somewhere else. She might have crossed there because we had already been in there, and she might have been trying to avoid us going around us. So that might have been why she was back this way. But we saw
Sorry.
a ton of beds. We saw a ton of rubs, and we didn't see anything that looked like it might have been an old scrape, but it was tracks everywhere in that second field that we went to.
I think we're gonna come back and do some more scouting later, or put up some deer stands, and we've talked about coming and sitting and just kind of seeing where, if we can see any come in and see where they're coming in at, and kind of nail down kind of a pattern of where they're coming in at, especially in the meadow area. So that way we can set up our stands, especially, we have more options with a gun as far as distance, but with our bows, we need to nail it down a little bit more. So we're going to come out here again and kind of do some more scouting.
The problem is that we found signs everywhere, and we didn't really get a good spot to set up because it just looked good everywhere. So we need to set up an observation stand and look around and see what they're most recently using, and then go from there, pretty much. So that's it.
Yeah, it's going to be good.